All right. Bad policies have bad outcomes. That's my takeaway for the fires in Los Angeles. And look, my heart goes out to the people that lost everything. It's just a terrible thing. But Joe Biden shows up at a firehouse there, stumbles around, and then makes it about himself, about having a great-grandchild. These people have just lost everything. 10,000 buildings burned to the ground. The death toll now 10 and rising. It'll be higher than that. And Joe Biden decides that's the time to have a little chuckle. And then he says some little joke to Kamala Harris, fire away at another event. I mean, it's just, we've got 10 days to go. It's galling. Thank God it's almost over. Let's do a postmortem with Liz Peek, my good friend from Fox News. Liz, good to have you back on the program.
Good morning. Delighted to chat with you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It is just so galling, embarrassing, stunning, mortifying. I don't know which adjectives to use. He's there at the fire station. He makes it about him having a great-grandchild. Mr. President, nobody cares.
I think he put himself in front of absolutely everything, Steve, from the beginning of his presidency.
True.
I think Americans had an extremely warped view of who Joe Biden is. I think he's an extremely narcissistic fellow who really thinks he had the potential to be a great president. Honestly, actually thinks he has been a great president, even though he goes out with an approval rating of 39%, which is only modestly better than Justin Trudeau, and that's saying quite a bit. Honestly, you cannot get beyond the incredible self-centeredness of Joe Biden, and that is a fact. I think people think he's a nice old man. He's not.
He's not. He's the old guy in his underwear on the corner shaking his fist at the kids on the lawn. That's who this guy is. He's a angry and now bitter old man who has always put himself. He always injects. I can't believe he didn't talk about his fire at his home in Delaware for the 1,000th time. Here people
right.
are just. Pacific Palisades is a war zone. Malibu's a war zone, and many of these people had no insurance because of what? Bad policy, because of Proposition 103 that put the state of California in charge of premiums and payouts. And the insurance company said, we don't want to deal with that. So people have nothing to turn to, right?
This is tragic, and it's tragic, and it is absolutely the result of bad policy making by Democrats in a one-party state. And, in a way, perhaps this is there will be something good that comes out of this in the sense that voters in California finally realize that policy matters, competence matters, and all of the other stuff, the DEI, the ESG, worrying about the smelt instead of the people, it really doesn't work for them. This insurance catastrophe is almost unimaginable. Literally, imagine if you had a $7 or $8 million home. And by the way, most of them are that kind of category in many of these locations that are burned.
Or more.
And you have nothing left. Yeah, or more. So it is. But getting back to Joe Biden, remember how many times he went to console people who had lost family members, and he talked about himself. He talked about Beau Biden. And, I understand that those were really incredibly important events in his life. But people aren't really interested in him. They're interested in their own situation, their own problems, et cetera. So I just think this was just sort of another indication that he's always inward looking. And by the way, right now, what he's doing is so incredibly offensive. Thank God we have so few days left of the Biden presidency, because every day he spools out something more that is injurious to the United States.
That's right.
That will cost taxpayers more money, even though the taxpayers and the American people just voted by a majority for the Trump agenda. He wants to put as many cogs in that wheel as possible.
That's exactly right.
To stop the Trump agenda. So what is that? That is spitefulness. And by the way, this is gossip, but you look at the Bidens next to Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff yesterday at the Carter funeral. They don't even exchange pleasantries. This is like high school, right?
But, I thought it was great when Donald Trump and Barack Obama are back there laughing. And if you didn't know, Liz, here's what was said. Barack leaned over and goes, I didn't vote for her either. That's what was actually said.
That's very funny.
Yeah, inside.
That's very funny. These are awful people.
They really are. I want to look at California a bit longer because I'm going to make a prediction here. Mark my words. These homes are not going to be rebuilt. Not the ones that were insured, not the ones that were not insured. They're not going to be rebuilt because you've got, look, BlackRock and State Street, these companies, these hedge funds, these big equity organizations are licking their chops. They can look at this footprint of Malibu and say, my God, we could put 500 condos right there. We could put a resort right there. I mean, this land is going to go through the roof. They're going to put in new infrastructure in these single-family homes. Malibu and Pacific Palisades, never coming back. Guarantee it, Liz. Never coming back.
I think you make a very good prediction. This is beyond tragic. And again, it's probably irreversible for the reasons you cite, but also because it's very unlikely that they're going to take the measures necessary to make sure it doesn't happen again. The most outrageous and sort of criminal aspect of this, Steve, they have wildfires every year in California. This is not a one-off. So to pretend that they were unprepared because, oh my goodness, they had big winds. They always have the Santa Ana winds. This is an issue every year. We watch California burn. And the fact that no one has done anything to prevent it, that they haven't figured out a way to capture and hold. And Gavin Newsom did a boastful thing last year about how he was breaking down dams. What is he thinking? I mean, that is the lifeblood of California, taking advantage of what they have in the last couple of years, or at least the last year, record rainfall, being able to pen that up and have it available for agriculture, but also for fighting fires. I mean, nothing about what he has done makes any sense. Honestly, Gavin Newsom is toast. We're never going to hear from him.
No, his political career went up in flames.
Again.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think his political career went up in flames, thankfully. But what about Mayor Bass? I mean, this is just another failed politician, unprepared, out of the country. It's fire season. And look, the $18 million they took out of the budget, that's an easy thing to point out. It's a small amount of money in California by those terms, but still you're unprepared. You don't have the infrastructure in place. You've not prepared with water and water systems that are adequate for the number of people that live there or the amount of homes or the amount of businesses. It's a complete failure, top to bottom. You're right. It's single-party failure in California. Maybe this is a catalyst. Maybe it's finally a catalyst to wake people up. Liz, I'll give you the last word.
Well, I think that would be great. I mean, Californians have struggled, as have New Yorkers, with above-average electricity costs, above-average gasoline costs, all kind of mandates that really dictate how they should live their lives. I can't imagine people are happy with the exorbitant taxes, with all the rules on businesses and so forth. This is, I would hope, the final straw that finally gets California voters to say, you know what, this is not working for us. We need a change. And maybe it will.
And maybe it will. The problem is ballot harvesting. That's still not solved here. Liz Peek, always appreciate you being here. Happy New Year. Glad you're here. We'll talk again soon. 10 days. Just 10 days, Liz. We're almost there.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Right,
take care, Steve.
All right. There you have it. Liz Peek, one of my favorites over these many years. She's been coming on for years and years. Absolutely appreciate talking to her because she's always so down to earth and straightforward about things. We'll take a break and be back. We have somebody from San Bernardino, California, joining us after the break.